30. Devotional Thoughts for Women, written by Monica Diaz, read by Belinda Sainsbury.
Good morning, dear friends. Today, June the 6th, our devotional is entitled A Tendency to Overcome Tendencies. Our true nationality is mankind. H.G. Wells. In 1979, Polish psychologist Henry Tajfel said that humans have an inborn tendency to categorize themselves into exclusive groups, building part of their identity based on belonging to that group and forcing discriminatory borders with groups other than their own. The reason for this is the self-esteem we derive from an exclusive identification. Hence, a way to increase my self-esteem would be to say, for example, Spain is the best country in the world, and since I am from Spain, I feel better, superior. With that way of viewing things, we divide the world into us against them by categorizing the people we meet. Those who don't belong to our group must have negative traits, and if they don't, we make them up. For us to be able to discriminate them and thus view ourselves in a positive light. This is the basis for prejudice and discrimination. In history, we see that this phenomenon has always existed. In tribal days, it made sense because tribes had to protect themselves from external threats to survive. But in latter times, it didn't have to do with survival, but prejudice. That is, until the man without prejudice arrived on the scene, the one who doesn't belong to any group because he loves all of humanity. Jesus did not have a tendency to view the world in terms of us against them, but rather that they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me and I in you. John 17:21. Unfortunately, his disciples had to suffer the consequences of prejudice when they were characterized as Christians, which continues to this day. But Christians were not exempt from this tendency. They in turn labeled those who did not belong to their group as heathen. That word and another one like it, worldly, is still used 2,000 years later. But do we really need to use it? Do we need to feel superior to those who don't belong to our faith? Does it make sense to view the world in terms of Christians, worldly ones, people from the West, East, leftists, rightists, to name 3 examples? I believe it's time to overcome this tendency. Human beings, that is what all of us are. And loving God above everything else is the mortar, the binder that allows us to love our neighbors as ourselves. Love the Lord your God. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:37-40.